This is truly a magical time to be alive for people like us who like board games. Now that the hobby is gaining so much momentum, you have better productions, larger productions, thanks to Kickstarter, some of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful games that ever came out. And then with more minds working on this hobby, you find new ideas. You find designers that really are able to come up with completely innovative ideas. And so from time to time, you come across a game that is like no other game that you played before, completely innovative. And the game I'm reviewing this video is called The Mind, and it is precisely a game of this kind. I've never played a game like this. It is a cooperative game with limited communication. And you're thinking, oh, Hanabi. Yes, of course, that's among the games that fall within the category of the last couple of years. Hanabi is an excellent example. This one is more extreme. It limits communication in a way that, again, I'd never seen before. But let me show you what the components are, and then we'll talk about how the game works. Now, the heart of the game is this deck of 100 cards that show numbers between 1 and 100. As simple as that. Then you have some other cards that represent resources that you gain during the game. One is lives, maybe extra lives. The group will gain these cards during the game. When the group makes a mistake, you discard one of them. If your group makes a mistake and you don't have any extra lives, then you lose the game. If you reach the end of the game without losing the game, then you win the game. Then you have these shooting stars or throwing stars. Those you collect them during the game, and you can use them. I'll show you later for what you use them. The game is structured in levels. Something also that I like is how games these days seem to be freely borrowing ideas from video games. 20 years ago, we thought that video games would kill board games entirely, but actually they have turned out to be a competitor, a very strong competitor for sure, but also a source of inspiration. This is a game that, like a video game, is divided in levels. You can have between one... Well, you start at level 1, and then you have a variable number of levels depending on the number of players. The fewer players, the more levels. With 2 players, for example, you have 12 levels. When you complete the tasks of level 1, you discard the card, and then you play the second level. And if you complete that one, you'll get the resource indicated there, which may be an extra life or a throwing star. And you continue this level under level until either you lose the game or you reach the end of the level that is based on the number of players that you have. In each level, you shuffle the cards and you give each player a number of cards equal to the level. So level 1, everybody gets 1 card. As simple as that. I, for example, get 99 and you get 70. And another friend of ours gets 3. So it's a 3-player game. And now the game starts. How does the game work? Very simple. The group needs to play the cards on the table in order from lowest to highest. So you always play when you have multiple cards, you always play the lowest in your hand. And if you make a mistake, say I play a 60 when somebody still has a 58 in their hand and they cannot play legally, they stop the game and say, oh, no, we made a mistake. They show the 58. Other people also discard the other cards that they may have the fault that they've become illegal because of the card that has been played. And we lose a life if you have it. If we have it, if we don't have it, we lost the game. So as simple as that. We play cards on the table from lowest to highest. And there's no specific turn order. That is, I could play all of my cards one after the other. I cannot dump multiple cards at the same time. I still have to play one at a time. But I could play 3 cards, then another player plays 1, I play another 1, other player plays 2, as long as they are in order. Super simple, right? What is the catch? The catch is considerable. We don't communicate. We don't talk. No talking, no signal, no telepathy. Okay, if you have telepathy, you know what? Go ahead, use it. No body language, no signs, no text messages, no communication. In fact, actually, come to think of it, the rulebook doesn't seem to me to have an explicit prohibition against body language, and there are ways of communicating through that. I made it even stricter than that. Since the philosophy is the players must not communicate at all, then no body language. How do you do it? Well, that's kind of the fun. The rulebook says it's like, ooh, it's a big spoiler. We're not giving you the strategy. But really, once you play the first round, you figure out what you need to do. How to do it, however, is the trick. And I'm delaying a little bit, so actually you may think, how the heck do you do it? There is a way of communicating without communicating. And if nothing else, I like philosophy and semiotics. Right there, to me, that was fascinating. I learned of another way in which you can communicate. Really, anything can become the subject of a communication as long as it falls within an agreed on a code, and yet the code, this what means what, is established by the players themselves based on the rules and their desire to win. How do you do it? You remember our situation? We got 3 players, and these are the cards, and we all have agreed to play a game in which we need to play them in order, from lowest to highest. And anybody can play their lowest card at any time. That means that the player that has this one wants to put it down as soon as possible, because he or she is afraid that somebody else is gonna put down another card that is higher. Most people are gonna have highest cards. Now, of course, somebody may have a 1 or a 2, but chances are not that high. On the other hand, this player is sitting down comfortably. This is almost too good to be true, because this player can just wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and just wait at the end. This player here is a little bit of a trickier situation. Once this player plays the 3, this player won't immediately play the 70 unless he or she is completely insane or did not get the game, which is a possibility. This player will want to wait a little bit, considerably actually, because he or she is waiting for somebody to play a 10 or a 20 or a card in the 30s, in the 40s. After a while, and seeing that, perceiving the vibes from this guy that is not putting it down, maybe with a little bit of danger possible. Could it be that no one has a card that is like between 3 and 70? After a while of waiting, the player plays this one face up, and then this player plays it face up too, and we completed the round successfully. It seems easy. Waiting is what you do. Waiting is, of course, the longer you wait, the more you get a sense the players don't have cards between the one that you have in hand, the one that was played, and the lowest that you have in hand. Of course, when it's between 3 and 70 and it's only 1 card per player, that is easy. But when players start having 3 cards each, for example, and some are very close to one another, I look at these cards and I already see that this is going to be challenging, because a player has a 75 and the player has a 73. Suppose that somebody just played a 66. That's annoying. That's tough, because possibilities of, well, between 66 and 75 is almost 1 in 10. Here, less than 1 in 10, but still this player is, they're both actually, because they don't know what the other player has, they're both waiting to see if somebody has a card between 66 and the one that they have. But then who's gonna, if this player puts it down first, and there's one next, then the game continues, otherwise they made a mistake. So it's true that basically the idea is that the players, they play, and the first hands are easy. It really is about this almost telepathic synchronization. Players get in sync, players almost agree, again, without explicitly saying so. It almost get in your guts that like, okay, this is 10 cards. In my head, or subconsciously, something is telling me we waited enough time that if players had a card within the next 10, they would have played it. Of course, one person that is not paying attention is enough to destroy this. Okay, enough time passed, and maybe I can play a card is 20 from the last that was played. But what if somebody has a 22, somebody has a 19? So as the game progresses and the players develop this synchronicity, I didn't say synchronization. It's not about acting at the same time. It's about working on the same time scale that just somehow forms somewhere in your head, in your brain, in your heart. I don't know where that is located. Brain, most likely. But it works. Players get, as they have more cards, then the intervals between cards become narrower. That makes the game much harder, and then players need to fine tune accordingly. I think we are far from winning the game, but we got more farther ahead than I would have ever expected. And sometimes it was really impressive that with some confidence somebody would play a 73 when I had the 75, and I was like, oh, perfect, I was just going to play it in 2 seconds. That makes perfect sense. Of course, it's also the case when somebody's playing the 73 and you have the 74, then you're rushing there because on one hand, no problem, no doubt. If not the doubt that somebody that has a card that is just a little bit ahead of that is gonna also rush for it. You need to rush faster. So there is really, it's not just about the zen, listen to the environment, to the vibes. It is also about being able to react with quick reflexes if need be. I talked at the beginning about the body language because yes, if I have a 90 and people are playing a 15, I could be like that. I'm not talking, I'm not sending secret messages, but I am sending an explicit message. That's why I really like when the game is entirely based on waiting, on doing nothing until it's the right moment, of learning with the people of your group what the right moment is and what a certain interval of time requires and implies. When I make it sound like this, it sounds like you're learning a foreign language together with other people, which makes it sound dry. But it's not how it is. It is pretty exciting, especially if two players, you're putting on a card and you see another player that was just starting to put on a card and you can't communicate, then what do you do? Then that's a tough assessment. I would almost say most of the game happens subconsciously. I wouldn't be able to tell you what feels right as an interval of 15 cards. But as I'm playing the game, I know exactly what that is. Exactly. I know it well enough not to lose a level 2 or 3, but not well enough yet to make it to the end. I've never played a game like this where we communicate with silence and waiting and not doing anything, with the exception when we do stuff. It's a weird idea, and yet it works. It's really fascinating game. And again, I'm sorry if my making it sound like you're learning a language and made it sound boring and dry, which is not. It's gonna give you a game where you laugh, where it's gonna be cheers when yes, players manage to place 2 cards right there with a minute interval, and maybe it's luck and maybe it's great skill. It doesn't matter. People are gonna jump around and high five and fist pump and all that. And then of course other crazy stuff happens, as like one player plays a card and the other player like, oh my gosh, just that second that they get distracted, somebody else plays a card and they mess everything up. You're spending most of the game looking at your cards and not communicating, and you really actually get the sense of cooperation, of group spirit, of interaction. It has to be one of the most interactive games that I've ever played, at least cooperative ones. No problem with the alpha player whatsoever. And it is a game where you technically don't interact at all. Remarkable. Again, a very original game. Really fun, really unique, highly recommended. Give it a try. It's very simple to learn. To play, it will take a little bit to figure it out, but it's fun because that's the journey, is the fun. To learn with your group how to deal with all the challenges that the random cards will throw at you. The Mind, remarkable design, very fun to play, very easy to learn, but what would they say? A lifetime to master. With this one, that may be true, but it's okay because it's a fun game.